tell me, why'd I always focus on gaming speculation? It's just a matter of a couple months, and then I'm left with devastation. This whole video is based on a hunch, but it's such a strong, niggling hunch that I just have to talk about it. I think the Game Boy systems will be coming to Nintendo Switch Online by the end of 2022. I know, this isn't breaking any headlines. Half of the Nintendo fanbase has been thinking those systems will be coming eventually to the online service. It's just a matter of time. Probably having Game Boy games come to the standard membership, along with Game Boy Color, they're technically classified as the same generation, and the GBA games coming only for the NSO expansion pass. All this will be available to consumers around late October 2022. With that train of thought though, I keep thinking about a small handful of games that are really under a strict deadline now. These games are ports and reimaginings of classic Game Boy Color, and Game Boy Advance games. They gotta come out soon, otherwise the timing will be just awkward, and could definitely dampen potential sales. So, here are 5 reimagined Game Boy games that I'm predicting will see released before the end of 2022. Once again, it's just a hunch, but I can't get enough of that sweet Nintendo speculation. So yeah, this might not be what Nintendo's developers and marketing teams actually do, but this is what they should do. Let's start with one that I believe is the most obvious. Reimaginings of the Zelda Oracle games, Oracle of Ages and Oracle of Seasons. At the time of this video, we don't know what Grezzo is working on, but it likely involves resurrecting an old Nintendo game and bringing it into the modern era. Maybe it's just me, but I feel like the Oracle games are often overlooked when talking about Zelda's history. And it's a shame because these are both amazing 2D Zelda games. I picture them adding the 2 games together in one package. It's the perfect game to remaster. Grezzo could use the existing art assets from Link's Awakening 2019, then add some more quality of life changes, especially when transferring data between Oracle of Ages and Seasons. Maybe add some bonus post-game dungeons or extra content that you need to use the items found in both games together to beat. It would truly bring the 2 worlds together. Maybe Grezzo can take another stab at the dungeon designer concept, see what worked and what didn't, and poof, another amazing 2D Zelda game. Sells millions. But why not remake the Minish Cap? That's a more beloved 2D Zelda and probably would sell them way more. So here's the thing about GBA games. Most, not all, but most, look amazing as they are. They all need some minor quality of life improvements, but are all still masterpieces and frankly don't need a remastering. Minish Cap needs some more button mapping. Let us assign 4 more items than we could on the GBA, so we don't gotta keep swapping out items. But that could be modded into the existing GBA emulator. That's not a whole re-release. You see, the Oracle games are forgotten gems within the Zelda timeline. They truly would benefit the most from an HD remaster. Out of all my predictions here, I hope these are the most likely to come true. So remember how just a minute ago I said most GBA games look amazing? Golden Sun is a perfect example. The game looks and sounds incredible. However, it needs a number of changes and design overhauls that could make it much more accessible to modern audiences. Golden Sun is such a cherished franchise, but it hasn't seen a release in 12 years. I'm picturing a slight reimagining to draw in new audiences to this cult classic. I'm looking at you, Advance Wars. The visuals could use a unique style of pixel art with modern shading and background elements, kinda like what Square Enix have been doing with their HD 2D games. Or, just give the creative rights to Camelot and let them reimagine the game in a fully 3D environment. Something to truly bring Golden Sun into the modern era of RPGs. In terms of modernizing this RPG, some quality of life changes I suggest would primarily include removing random encounters. Isaac and crew now engage with enemies on the overworld to initiate battle. No matter what direction they take the Golden Sun remakes, I personally hope they bundle the 2 first games together, so players can enjoy the full story back to back. Depending on if it sells well enough, we could finally get that rumored 4th game in the series, and maybe Golden Sun will finally once again see the light of day. So, Metroid is kind of back in the spotlight now thanks to Dread, and I'm sure Nintendo is keen on the fact that all new fans want a reliable way to enjoy the older 2D Metroid games. True, right now the original and Super Metroid are available on NSO, and if my prediction is accurate, NSO will be offering the missing 2D Metroid game over the next few years, bringing Fusion, Zero Mission, a remake of the original, and Metroid 2 on Game Boy. But here's the thing about the Game Boy version of Metroid 2. It's kind of clunky and outdated. And Mercury Steam already made a perfectly good remake of Metroid 2 back on the 3DS. That's right, I'm predicting that we get a Switch port of Samus Returns. Sure, the movement and graphics may feel slightly outdated when compared to Dread, but it's still a really well-made game, and it's the best officially licensed way to play Metroid 2. Honestly, if Nintendo just smoothed out some of the textures like they did for Miitopia, added the moving physical counterattack like in Dread, minimap in top right corner, and hotkeyed some of the touchscreen functions for the Aeon abilities to the right joystick, bam, an amazing Switch port of an amazing 3DS game, with vastly improved features. I can picture Nintendo combining the first 4 chronological games into one bundle game, kinda like Mario 3D All-Stars, but instead of 3 games for $60, it would be 6 games for $60. That's the original NES game, the GBA remake, the Game Boy sequel, the 3DS, and now Switch reimagining, Super Metroid, and Metroid Fusion all in one bundle compilation game. This may be a hard sell for the average consumer, especially considering we're probably gonna get all of these games on the NSO within the next few years. But it's that up-res port of Samus Returns. I think plenty of new fans would pick up just this game if it was sold on its own. But there is something really nice about owning your own physical copy of the main Metroid storyline. Something that's yours to play whenever you want, not chained to the NSO streaming service. The way I would sell this, if I was in charge of setting the marketing strategy for Nintendo, sell the Switch port of Samus Returns digital only for $40. Or consumers could purchase the Metroid Timeline Collection for $60. Or they could buy the complete story collection for $100, and that includes a copy of Metroid Dread. Now that is the perfect collection for any Metroidvania fan. Man, it feels wrong to make a collection that includes Dread just 7 months or so after its release. But we gotta keep those Metroid dollars coming in.
Keep the hype alive. Prime Trilogy Holiday 2022.
Prime 4 and 23 maybe as a Switch 2 launch title.
Sorry, got a little lost there. I want to discuss another 3DS game that fits perfectly as a Switch port with just some minor touchscreen button remapping. Well, there's a lot of games like that actually, but this one is on a deadline. Mario & Luigi Superstar Saga, the 3DS version, but for Switch. I guess just call it Mario & Luigi Superstar Saga Deluxe. When you think of classic GBA games, Mario & Luigi is near the top of everyone's list. But here's the thing, there's a slightly enhanced version of this game. This version adds an incredible amount of quality of life improvements and beautiful shading effects, all while still leaving it with that pixelated, nostalgic feel. Not to mention the added bonus game following Bowser's Minion. That part, take it or leave it. But everything else truly makes this version the ideal way to play the beloved classic Mario & Luigi Superstar Saga. Same story with Samus Returns. Do some remapping of touchscreen controls to the right joystick, then add a quick view button to see the map, and the second screen is completely circumvented. Apparently there are some minor cons that the fanbase agrees about when comparing this version to the original on GBA, so hopefully when porting this re-release, Nintendo will take in some of the fan feedback and make this deluxe version on Switch the objectively best way to play Superstar Saga. However, I hope this is one of the cheaper Nintendo games when it comes to the retail price. Fans may still be feeling upset about how the Mario & Luigi series kinda just fizzled out, with Alpha Dream officially declaring bankruptcy in October of 2019. The series has been on hiatus, and to see the first mention of the franchise in 4 years be a re-release of a 5-year-old game, it might get fans intrigued, but that game better be less than 30. I'm no game developer, but I feel like this would be the simplest Switch re-release yet. It shouldn't cost Nintendo too much to port the game over, right? I think 30, 35 is honestly possible. Maybe they'll keep this a digital-only purchase to keep manufacturing and distribution costs down too. And you know, if Mario & Luigi Superstar Saga Deluxe becomes a real thing, then you know Nintendo ain't re-releasing the GBA version until the last possible moment. That's kind of been my whole point when mentioning these games are on a deadline. I mean, if the release window of the new game or enhanced version for Switch is too close to the emulated version released on NSO, it's going to cannibalize possible sales and just make the release schedule feel awkward, you know? So I truly believe we're going to hear an announcement about every game on this list well before we get any confirmation of Game Boy games coming to NSO. Because even if a game isn't announced right away, once we know the Game Boy library is officially coming, it won't be as exciting to hear about these remakes. However, this principle has one possible exception. Pokémon Gold and Silver. Nintendo is an anomaly. As I've seen firsthand multiple times, there's no point in speculating Nintendo plans. They are too unpredictable. As unpredictable as Nintendo is, I'd argue Pokémon is even more unpredictable sometimes. I truly don't know what it's planned for 2022 after Legends Arceus. But if I had to make a prediction, the 9th generation of Pokemon will not be releasing until 2023. I think the holiday launches for Pokemon in 2022 will be Johto remakes, in a style that's a mix of Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl and the Let's Go games. I think if Game Freak and Ilka put their minds together, learning from what worked in the previous remakes and dropped what didn't work, we could be seeing the perfect classic Pokemon game in 2022. HeartGold and SoulSilver are highly praised and often regarded as the current best Pokemon game overall. Take some ideas from Let's Go, some ideas from the Sinnoh remakes, the map and post-game of Johto. We got a modern masterpiece on our hands. Now, the pessimist in me is saying that Game Freak will probably put out some uninspired sequel to Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. And you can forget about revisiting Kanto, you ain't getting that for free. But thinking like an optimist, these will be truly faithful remakes of HeartGold and SoulSilver. There could even be optional difficulty settings at the start, and one way to play could be very akin to Pokemon Let's Go catching mechanics. Basically, marketing this game to both the casual Pokemon fans as well as the ones who love the classic formula. It's a win-win in my eyes. So yeah, that's really all the games I wanted to talk about as full-on re-releases in 2022, or at least before the Game Boy library is announced for NSO. But there are 2 games that I wanted to quickly discuss. Zelda 4 Swords Anniversary Edition. I'm not even suggesting new content. I'm saying port the DSi game to Switch and add online multiplayer. The only reason I'm bringing this game up is because the original 4 Swords was an add-on game that was part of the Link to the Past GBA port. I do still think that port will be part of the NSO GBA library, but 4 Swords will be locked off. The bonus temple will be playable with a special version of GBA Link to the Past. Honestly, a lot of Game Boy games may need to make slight modifications for the link cable and other accessories, but this video is going on long enough. I want to bring up my last point before wrapping up. So I said earlier that Game Boy and Game Boy Color games would probably be coming to NSO, and that Game Boy Advance games will be coming exclusively to the NSO expansion pack, right? Well, do you know what game would instantly turn all eyes on Nintendo and gather in a crazy amount of expansion pass purchases? Mother 3. The GBA game wouldn't technically be a re-release in the same way I've been talking in the rest of this video, but I don't know the next time I can organically talk about this, so here we go. There have been jokes and rumors about Nintendo localizing Mother 3 for over 15 years, and now is the perfect opportunity. Nintendo, work with the team that made the fan translation. Make whatever modifications you need. Slap an age restriction warning for sensitive content. Add in a disclaimer. Give players a message at the beginning of the game before you play. Times were different back in 2016, etc., etc. Just let your fans play this game in some official setting. I'll go even one step further, especially if we're going to age restrict this game. Players need to specifically download a key from the eShop to unlock the game in NSO. It would still be free with the expansion pass, but to ensure that only players who specifically want to be exposed to Mother 3 will be able to play. That key might actually be a great idea. It wouldn't allow gameplay from parental control switches, plus Nintendo would have more accurate data on how many consumers specifically wanted to try out Mother 3. They'll have raw data for what has been hypothetical demand all these years. I don't care how convoluted it needs to be. Let us play an official version of one of your most treasured games, Nintendo. So yeah, thanks for making it to the end of my video. I'm really excited to see if any of these games come out before the end of 2022. Some are modernized ports, but some would basically be whole new games. I'll be on edge waiting to see if any of these predictions actually come true. If you like this kind of speculation and want to see more of my wild predictions, then consider subscribing. And hey, if you know of anyone who's a fan of Nintendo or has some opinions about how the NSO service is structured, please share this video with them. I'm really trying to bring this channel back from the dead, so any help would be amazing. Sharing this video around goes a lot farther than you realize, and I would be eternally grateful to you. Let me know down in the comments, what are your thoughts about this list? What other Game Boy games do you think would be remade or re-released in the near future? What would you do to change the NSO service and make it better? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you again for watching, and until next time, this is what they should do.